Welcome to The Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for The Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And building a website can be complicated and very challenging. Shelly Ranger from Jelly Websites will be on later in the show to talk about how you can make this task a little bit easier. And speaking of websites, this is one thing on how the internet has changed our lives. Nick Ressler, co-founder of Awesome2 and Zuvio in Mandan, North Dakota, is in studio, and we will be having a look at how the internet has changed the way we do things. At the control panel, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
Good. Enjoy the nice cool weekend?
Oh, very much so.
And, cool is relative, isn't it? I mean, usually it should be 90, 95, I suppose, right now. And it was nice 75. I love it.
Well, I grew up in a part of the country where it's very warm and very humid all summer long. So this is very refreshing for me.
I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I can't remember the last time I spent so much time outside in 2 days getting things done and got a little golf in, and it was great. So, yeah. Yep. So we're going to be talking about how the internet has changed our lives. And, Jim, we're going to get you in the conversation occasionally, too. But Mr. Nick Ressler is the co-founder of Zuvio and Awesome2 products. And he's usually in to talk about virus and scaring the bejesus out of people. But we're going to talk a little bit about how, the internet has changed how we do things. And welcome to the show, Mr. Ressler.
Thank you.
So let's just get right into it. The first thing that you think about how the internet has changed our lives, for you, what would that be?
Shopping.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't buy anything until you check it out. I mean, you go on Google or Amazon and you search for whatever you're looking for. I'll give you an example. My son, who's living in our basement,
Okay.
where there's no air conditioning,
Okay.
he said, can't we put air conditioning down there? Well, I don't have central air, so it's impossible. I have a wall air conditioner in the living room. So I said, there's got to be some portable air conditioners out there. Jump online and voila, anywhere from $199 to $599.
Okay.
And without the internet, you would waste a lot of time going from store to store looking for products.
Okay.
Now you can find what you want, and then it's just a matter of searching who has it, and you go over and buy it.
So you do your search first, and then you still shop at a local store or a local, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If I can find it locally, you may pay a few pennies more, but it's worth it to shop locally.
Okay.
And then you have it. And then also the service. If you buy it online and order it and something goes wrong, you got that hassle of shipping it back and that. And if you buy it locally, just go back over to the store and say, hey,
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that's always a big thing with shopping. But, of course, we live in an area where, although it is changing, we've always had an issue with having everything that you need here. So, back in the day, we would actually depend on catalogs.
Exactly.
And I remember, even in the early days of computers and internet, remember the Computer Shopper?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was literally my magazine
Bible.
or my
That was the Bible.
That was and it came out. That thing was huge, and I get this thing. Did they ship it at least once a month?
Yep.
I think they had a weekly update too to the thing. It was just crazy.
Well, you got to go way back now. When we talk about the internet, when it first started, what did you do with a computer?
Well, for me, it was bulletin board services.
Exactly.
We're talking. The mid 80s, there was no GUI, which is, graphical user interface. That came about in 90, 91. And I think it was AOL that kind of revolutionized that, actually. But you couldn't bring enough data across, because it was dial-up.
Dial-up.
I remember, and I want to say it was 85 or 86, that I got a 300 baud modem. 300 baud.
Oh, yeah.
And I was excited because I didn't know what we'd do with all the speed.
Yep.
Nowadays, oh my goodness, you would get nothing done.
And then what you did was you logged into a bulletin board.
Yep.
And it was hosted locally.
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you'd get into the internet somehow or another. Now, I think you're thinking of an ISP. Then they hosted their own bulletin boards too.
Right.
But I would always use my ISP and then get into college bulletin board service because that's where the programming was going on. So I would download programs and things like that. Yep.
I remember working for the North Dakota Safety Council, and we got our first modem. And there was a local provider, an individual, set up all his stuff in his basement over in Bismarck.
Yeah,
I don't remember the guy's name.
I wish I remembered. I forget the name of the business too, but I subscribe to his service as well. We should do that. Yeah,
see where he is and should get him on the show.
Yeah, that'd be great.
See what, how he progressed. But he actually set that up and sold you the internet. I think it was $12 a month,
something like that. Yeah.
And his wife was just a sweetheart. I mean, she was the support.
Okay.
The techie. And we got our modem, and we bought the internet and called her and literally spent a good almost over a half a day on the line doing this, checking this, doing this. And finally we got in, and it was like, Yahoo, we're on the internet, And now people get excited when they click, and nothing happens in 15 or 20 seconds,
Yeah, things have changed a lot, that's for sure. Communication, I think, is probably the biggest thing. The email side of things. When's the last time you actually physically wrote a letter, Nick?
I sent in my rebates.
Okay. But I mean,
other than that, no.
Okay. And what about cards? Greeting cards. I mean, I can't remember the last time I actually sent a card. No. Thank yous occasionally.
Yeah.
But and I saw, if we have a family wedding or something like that. But birthday cards, any of that stuff. Now you do it all online.
Yeah, and with the advent of smartphones, that whole communication realm is taking on a different approach. I mean, it's unreal.
Right. I mean, instant communication, instant messaging. I mean, here I'm literally visiting with our programmer who's in Malaysia right now. I'm not sure why he's vacationing over there, but I guess that's where he wanted to go. But we're still in contact with him all the time. It's just a matter of a little chat window that pops up, and you can talk to him, or VoIP, of course. Most of our phone calls nowadays are using the internet to transport that stuff, our television, I mean, all that stuff. But communication, I think, is where it's really revolutionized things. Not that we all like email, but I mean, I can see why the postal service is
Facebook has really replaced email.
Really?
Yeah, I hardly use email. I hardly open the darn thing.
I go along with that,
It's always on Facebook.
Well, I guess when you and I talk, Jim, it's always on Facebook, isn't
90% of my correspondence is on Facebook.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Same way with me.
So you just use the instant messaging window in Facebook or whatever and leave messages that way. Okay. Interesting. So, all right, everybody, after the break, we are going to be talking to Shelly Ranger. She is the co-founder of Jelly Websites, and she'll be talking to us a little bit about some of the options you have when you are taking on the challenge of building a site. Come on back.
Right now, 68.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Follow the Guru of Geek at facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or thetechranch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all of our listeners across the country and around the world who join us on a variety of different ways, including the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. On the Blueberry Network. And Jim, I guess it's time for some. I think we've been on there for about a year now, so we'll have to bring some blueberries in to celebrate that. We're also now on TuneIn. So if you're a TuneIn user, you can follow the Tech Ranch there. And of course, we have our own app, Radio Pup. So you can always stream the program there, as well as podcast it later. So on the phone, the co-founder of Jelly Websites, Shelly Ranger. Shelly, how you doing?
Hi, Marlo. Good. How are you today?
I'm doing fine as well. Excited to have you on the show. We always talk a lot about website development here, and a lot of times the conversation gets into WordPress and how popular that has become. But you kind of offer an alternative way to have a very, very nice website, SEO, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, but I really wanted to have you on the show today because I think people need to see the choices that they have for building websites. So let's talk a little bit about the choices other than WordPress.
Well, my background is custom website design, and I've been doing this for my own business for 16 years. And what I've seen over the years is the challenges that small business owners have when putting together either a WordPress, which is typically your CMS or your template website, versus a custom. And no matter how you go about it, the obstacle comes down to clients don't have the photos or the resources or the copy, and it becomes a daunting task of putting this project together that they just did not anticipate getting into. So yes, there's templates out there. There's all kinds of great ways to do it, but even as developers, as my team is, and designers, we actually have a learning curve when we go to a CMS, back end with any given company out there. So what we've tried to do is just overcome those obstacles, do 95% of the work, just get the minimal information we need from our clients to write uniquely about them, give them a very customized, unique web presence, but also make it affordable and give them what's working now, the great call to actions, the fun, interactive, entertaining website. So we've tried to package it differently, and our clients work with us. We want to be that resource so we can offer much more than just that website. There is a lot more to it.
Well, and I always laugh because when you hear the ads stating that, hey, you can be online in 10 minutes. Well, that may be true, but you certainly don't have the website that you want in 10 minutes. And you're absolutely right. In fact, most of the people that I talk to that build websites, when they go that route, after 8 or 10 hours of frustration, they are still not even close to where they want to be building a website, and they give up. Or, they find somebody else that they think they can trust, and of course they end up spending way too much, because at that point of frustration is when you really start saying, hey, this is not worth my time, and you start shelling out the big bucks for it.
Exactly, and the frustration is what ultimately makes the business owner not even use it. And that's a shame. We want this to be an amazing business resource for our clients. And most of the clients we do get are the ones that did exactly what you just said. They spent hours on a GoDaddy or on a template. I'm not going to name names because some of them can be used, but they're just frustrated. It's not as user-friendly as it's made out to be. Even we have a learning curve, like I said, and we want them to enjoy the process. And so it's a new take on it, we think, and we believe that the substance, though, the meat of building a website is having the right tools. And because of our experience, we've been able to build that and really have the great writing team and just take our clients in the right direction and educate them along the way. So it's a fun process for them.
And for those of you who are just joining us, this is Shelley Ranger. She is with Jelly Websites, and you can find Jelly Websites at, just like it sounds, www.jellywebsites.com. Now, Shelley, what about maintenance? That's the other thing that I when I talk to a lot of people building websites, once they have it up, it just seems like the website stays static for so long because they're intimidated by weekly or monthly maintenance, posting some new articles or making some changes to the website. What's your recommendations there?
Well, we work changes, two different ways. And of course, the more you're updating your website or your blog, the better. The more content you build out there, the more you're going to be rewarded with positioning, keyword positioning. So with our websites, they're unlimited changes. It's like a subscription service. So once we develop your website, it's online, then you have unlimited changes that you're allowed to make. And we highly encourage it. We turn them around within 24 to 48 hours. So our clients always have the most up-to-date content showing, photos showing, and we do that part. So they're just emailing us what needs to be done, and we make it look right and align it up. And then we also have a blog option with our development for the website. They can also have a blog designed, and then we can do monthly blog posting. And those are just a per fee per post fee based,
okay.
And that also creates content on a regular basis, and therefore gets more built out there over there online for them with browsers.
So how important do you think it is to be connected to social networks?
It just depends on your business. In the healthcare model, There's some sites out there that can work socially. Of course, I like Google Plus, where we can write reviews and put information out there about the business is really great. They seem to take a precedence over rewarding those businesses that have Google products. And then Facebook works, well with like our healthcare clients, but every industry is different. So when we learn about our businesses, we kind of guide them in what direction might work well. If you have a product-driven business, Twitter's great sometimes because you can constantly talk about what's new and products that you're launching and get the word spread, but that may not be a great outlet for a healthcare professional. So it just kind of needs a little bit of a one-on-one understanding of what the business model is.
So how significant do you think is Google Plus?
Well, it's been great for us as a company because it's been one of the great social sites for us to post multiple things about our business. We love the review section of it more, I think, than anything. And it's so widely used, I think that people just automatically go in that direction, and they always see. It doesn't really matter what Google's putting out there. As long as they have something out there, our clients call and say, I want it. Well, you don't even know what it is or what it's going to do for you. It doesn't matter. It's almost like Google's got such a recognized brand out there, and that they're sort of the forerunner in what they do for companies and their power, I guess, because of the Google search. Customers don't want to take a chance of of missing an opportunity and not being on a Google product, just like YouTube or something else that could give them that one little niche.
So do you feel, we're getting into SEO a little bit here, but do you feel that, by having stuff on Google Plus, that it helps in your search engine optimization of your website because Google gives more credence to Google Plus over Facebook?
Well, actually, where we have found the most power has been in the blogging.
Okay.
That's one of our biggest products. And the content. Nothing happens, easily. It's just like working out. You have to do something to get those results. So you have to spend the time with blogging, and that's our forte, and really authentically talking about a business and what you're offering and all the great things that you can do, for that business. That's been our number one. That's why we offer the blogs with our websites. They go hand in hand. They complement each other. So to answer your question, we have not seen the Google Plus do anything for our clients as far as search engine optimization or keyword ranking. Our blogs have. So that's the direction we've been going into in the last couple of years.
Okay. Nick, any questions for Shelley at all? Okay. You look like you had something on your mind there, deep in thought. All right, Shelley, how do we find you again?
You could go to our website, jellywebsites.com, and if anyone has questions or just wants to know more about, what we do or how we can be resourceful, you can always email us at support@jellywebsites.com as well.
And I will say, I was actually, you were gracious enough to send me a login last night, or it was last week, I guess, but I logged in finally last night, and your user interface is nice. I like how simplistic it is because, like you said, if I need to make a change to my website, you actually have an area in there that basically just sends you an email. It's not like, you're not overthinking it. And I think sometimes when people are trying to communicate ideas about websites, you need to let them kind of explain to you what it is, as opposed to having some type of cookie cutter sheet that they are saying, all right, check this if you want this, check this. You need to have your customers, tell that to you, and I really do appreciate that you have it that way.
Yeah, that was completely on purpose. We wanted to keep it as simple as we could. It's sort of the Craigslist of website design. We just want to, take viewers right where they need to go and just make it easy. We know what it's like to be on the other side of figuring out these CMS type, template sites, and we wanted the complete opposite of that. And plus, somebody who signs up for a Jelly website is working with a team member of ours, a developer or designer that can answer those questions and really educate them along the way as to what we can and can't do. So they don't have to figure it out. They're really just telling us what they want, and we translate that into the design. So it is easier. Believe it or not, going the custom route is actually easier. It is for us anyway.
So, Shelley, the question of the day and I'm putting you on the spot here now, is how has the internet changed the way I'm trying to, I messed up the question here now, but how has the internet changed your life?
Wow. Well, it is my life.
Okay, very good. That's great. We were talking about, communication and shopping and that type of thing. Is there something else that's significant that stands out to you?
Wow. I think it's just being able to reach more people and do a lot of, because we do a lot of training as well. So I think being able to really educate and train people.
Shelley, I'm going to have to cut you off right against the clock here. Shelley Ranger, appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Right, bye-bye.
Right now, 68.
Your news leader, weeknights at 6 and 10. Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And for those that were just listening to Shelley, we had to cut her off there at the last second due to time. But if you need to find out more about what Shelley does, or if you just have questions about building websites, just go to jellywebsites.com, just like it sounds, JELLYWEBSITES.com, jellywebsites.com. In studio, of course, Mr. Nick Ressler, co-founder of Awesome2 and Zuvio. And we've been talking a lot about how the internet has changed our lives, and Nick has a little story he wants to share.
When we talk about how internet has changed our lives, automobiles.
Okay.
Now, the average automobile years ago had a set of points, spark plugs, and a carburetor.
Okay.
And it was pretty easy for the average person with any kind of mechanic skills and tools to mess it up.
That's true.
Or fix it.
Or attempt to fix it, yes.
Or break it.
Yes.
Today, if you look at today's automobile, it's pretty much computerized. And the average person, there's no way. I think even your motorcycles, if you don't have the diagnostic tools to analyze that, you're kind of dead in the water.
But you can go buy these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have, believe it or not, and you can borrow it from me sometime. I actually have a diagnostic tool for my car. You just plug it in, and it tells you what's going on.
And when I worked at the body shop, the dealership there, it was just fascinating. Somebody would bring in a car and say, it is not running right. And they'd run it on a rack, and the mechanic would take this handheld unit, plug it in, and he'd take a bunch of readings, go to the main computer, upload it. It would download some settings. He'd go back and reset it. Okay, you can go now.
Yep.
That was the tune-up.
Wow.
No wrenches.
Wow.
But one that really fascinates me is your dragsters.
Okay.
Drag racing. That machine is a running computer. The only thing the operator has to do is hit the throttle and steer. That thing shifts at certain points. It uses the clutch at certain points. That whole thing is run by a computer. And the other day we had a customer bring in his computer, and he was showing me this diagnostic deal. He's in tractor pull, and he has a truck pull. And he showed me the whole thing when he does a run. Everything from the temperature, the wind speed, all of that is put into that and they record it. And then from that data, they're able to, set the clutch or whatever and tune it up and work with it. So cars, it's really a big deal with computers now.
Yep.
Or automobiles.
Yep.
Yeah.
So interesting. Yeah, and if you didn't have the internet, it allows you this transfer of data to take place, and that's what the internet's all about there. So yeah.
Big
So
time.
and then you were talking about music, how that has changed.
Oh my God. Can you imagine?
It's amazing, actually. And I know, Jim, we can probably get you in this conversation too, but how this radio station performs right now is dramatically different than it was 15 years ago because of the internet.
15 years ago, a lot of radio stations were still playing records.
Sure. And of course it went to CDs for a long time,
CDs.
and then finally, but a CD, a WAV file was what, 70 to 100 megabytes, where a 3-minute song now is about 3.
Yeah.
So you think about that. First of all, I mean, my first hard drive was a 20 meg hard drive. And, you had the option to go to 40 megs. Well, you couldn't even put a full song on one of those hard drives at the time.
And now we carry around jump drives that are
16 gigs, Yes, Jim.
Well, when I was a disc jockey, when I was doing Top 40 back in the late 80s,
Okay.
I used to we had to set aside time every day to fill out our music sheets with the music we were going to play, because we had certain categories we had to pick from. We didn't just play whatever we wanted. We had categories and like a format, like a clock that we had to follow every hour. And it would take us a good hour to plan out the music for a 4-hour show. And that's a whole hour out of your day that we don't have to worry about anymore, because it's all in the system here.
Yep.
Just click a mouse and it's right there.
And the mother office, or whatever you want to call it, has that already pre-programmed, ready to go. It all comes down through the internet right to the station here, so that you can push it out. So.
I mean, I walk in every day and the music is all laid out for me.
Yep.
Which when I do the afternoon show on Cool.
Sure.
And I for one, some guys don't like that, but I don't mind it at all. It's really one less thing I have to worry about.
Sure.
What I've always was wondering about is how you time it. You play X amount of songs, you got commercials, you got some fill-in space, but it has to be within that block, just like TV, because you got commercials.
Well, it's not so crucial. It's a little more crucial on a station like this, because we do have that news feed at the top of the hour, and we absolutely have to hit that right at when it comes on at the top of the hour. On most music stations, it's not that tight. You're not taking feeds like that. If you have news, it's pre-recorded and put in the system. But usually what they will do is they'll have extra songs that will pop in. If they don't hit a certain song by a certain time of the hour, then extra songs will pop up automatically to fill the time.
And may not play out the whole time. It'll just fade out halfway through the song or whatever, going into that break or whatever.
Well, hopefully not that, because that sounds terrible.
Well, I have heard that occasionally, though. Not on this station, but yes.
No, we try to avoid that. But in our case, on Cool, what we have is a system where, it has an automatic jump thing where when you get to a certain part of the hour, it jumps over the remaining songs for the hour and jumps right to the top of the next hour. And that's how it resets itself with the clock to be in sync with the clock every hour.
I see. So there's I gotcha. So it doesn't bleed over to the next hour. It's just automatically resets every hour.
Exactly.
Then. So interesting.
Now, we do have some leeway there. I mean, we can do things manually if we want to, but if we want to leave it alone there, we can do that as well.
Okay.
So it was a real hassle without the computers in there.
Oh, yeah, you're constantly working against the clock.
Yeah. It had to be nerve-wracking. Right?
Yeah.
I bet it was.
That aspect of it is a lot more convenient now. A lot of people would say that a lot of the excitement has come out of music radio. Well, and they've got a point there.
They do have a point. I mean, you don't have the ability to spin up a record and talk into it a little bit or whatever like they used to.
But realistically, the days when the disc jockey actually picked his own records, I mean, that went out when the Beatles came in. Yeah. Right about the time the Beatles came in, they started formatting radio.
Right.
And they started telling disc jockeys what to play, or at least what categories to pick from to play. And all that kind of went out the window about 50 years ago.
Well, and weren't most music stations or whatever, they played whatever. There was no country format or no rock format or whatever. It was pretty much, I mean, you might have the polka hour or something like that, but you know what I mean? A lot of radio stations literally back in the day would have maybe hours segmented for different music.
Yeah.
But they
block
would
programming
generally, but they would generally play everything that was available, but there wasn't as much available. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, what I was going to say was there was a time when every town had two big stations and a lot of little stations that would do different things, polka formats and religious music and whatever. But every town had usually two stations that were the big stations in the market. One would play music for the older people and have a lot of news and information, whatever constitutes. We're in the 60s, we're talking like Vic Damone and Sinatra and Peggy Lee, people like that. And the other station would be the station for the kids and the teenagers. And that would be the one that would be playing all the rock and roll in the top 40. And then, of course, in the late 70s, FM came in, and that kind of fractionalized the youth market. And that's when it really got rolling.
Right. And I know that I just remember listening from like 7 to 9 at night or whatever, because it would be like, general, maybe the Sinatra stuff or whatever during the day. Yeah. And at night, the station would change the format to play more hard rock, and that's, of course, what I was listening to.
Even the top 40 stations, a lot of them tried to be all things to all people during the day, during what they call the housewife period.
Right.
When supposedly the ladies, the stay-at-home moms were listening to the radio. they would play mellow love songs, Jack Jones or whoever was the hot hunk at the time. I guess Tom Jones would fit in that category in a way. And then they would rock out at night when the kids were listening.
When we were kids growing up, we always listened to the radio station out of Oklahoma, Coma.
Okay.
KOMA, 1520.
KOMA.
And you get that all the way up here in Mandan? Really?
But sometimes you wouldn't. It depends on, I don't know, the skip.
The skip,
or whatever.
Yep. Interesting.
But most times, that's what we listened to because they played all the latest.
On the East Coast, on that same frequency, same place on the dial, it was WKBW in Buffalo. Well, massive Buffalo, New York, and just one station had a monster signal that would go up and down the entire eastern seaboard.
So does anybody even have a signal like that anymore, or is it just because the internet now they can just stream it out to wherever?
Well, yeah, the internet has kind of leveled the playing field as far as signals has concerned.
Okay.
But in the old days, you had certain AM stations, usually the oldest ones, the ones that got their license first, and they would get the prime choice locations on the dial where they would get these big giant signals.
I see.
Like, I'm trying to think, I guess WCCO in Minneapolis would be one example.
Sure.
WLS in Chicago, these big giant monster signals that would just blast out forever and ever.
And you could just, you could drive forever and listen to them or pick them up. So
WABC in New York.
But the internet, of course, has changed. We really got off topic there but it's fun to talk about, though. But the internet has changed how we listen, including, how we listen to our radio stations
and how
now.
we store our music.
Yeah.
Really big time.
We do.
Online now.
But I just think about streaming-wise, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I stream radio. Well, even in our shop, it's hard to get a signal in our shop. So we even stream our local stations right in there, which I think is fantastic. So,
well, radio, the industry has to catch up a bit because now that we're streaming, that's kind of a different ball game. You don't listen to a stream on a computer the way you would listen to the radio in the car.
Right.
There are different habits involved, and we're still trying to catch up and figure out how to develop our own conventions, if you will. It's like when television first happened, it was like radio with pictures.
Yep.
And then eventually television found its own way and found its own way of doing things. Well, that's kind of what's happening now with radio as it's moving to the internet. We're still doing a lot of things like we do on AM and FM, and we got to try to kind of figure out as we go along,
right,
how to take advantage of the medium itself, because obviously there are certain advantages you have that you should be able to exploit for the benefit of the listener.
And that was a great segue there, Jim, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in the next segment. We've been talking a lot about how the internet has changed our lives. Now we're going to get into how we think it is going to change our lives even further going into the future. So you'll want to stay tuned for this because we got some great new stuff to tell you about. So come on back.
Right now, 68.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
All right, Nick, quote number 1.
This is quoted by Scott McNeely. He said, Microsoft is now talking about the digital nervous system.
Okay.
He says, I guess I'd be nervous, too, if I was using their software. The second one says,
wow.
Apple is a good product, but Microsoft uses a whole orchard. And the last one is, oh, my gosh, somebody knocked over my recycle bin. There are icons all over my desktop.
You have to post some of those up there. So, those are fun. Okay, we are going to be talking a little bit about the Internet of Things. And you'll start seeing, and I shouldn't say start, you're seeing this already, the Internet of Things. And that is things that are not really computers. They're going to have internet in them. So your refrigerator, your toaster, I'm thinking of kitchen utensils here, but your heating and cooling system in your house. You may have tools that you utilize that will have internet connectivity to them for whatever reason. And, whether this is good or bad, I don't know. But, do you really want your refrigerator to talk to you? But maybe you do. Jim's laughing over here. Hey, I'm a little cold over here. Come on now, turn me up a little bit.
That food in here, it's too long. It's turning green. Get rid of it.
I think we should have the Rodney Dangerfield refrigerator.
Yeah.
Hey,
expect.
I get no expect over here. That would be hilarious, actually. But all this stuff is going to tie into your smart device. So if your refrigerator is going on the fritz and maybe it gets to 40 degrees or something in there, you'll probably get an alert that'll let you know that you're yeah.
State Fair.
Okay.
Was up there, and they have this electric grill.
Okay.
And you plug the little thermometer in your meat, and it rings your smartphone and tells you when your meat's done.
We have that at our shop, Nick.
That's the first time I saw it.
Are you serious? Yeah. In fact, Jim and I had it on the show a month or two ago. I had 2 probes in there. Yeah, it tells you exactly what the temperature is.
Hey,
and it
your
tells
meat's
your phone.
ready.
Exactly.
I think they should have the geezer's voice on there. Hey, get over here and get this. And pick up all those icons on the floor.
I've always wanted to do GPS voice packets.
Yeah.
So you could have the backseat driver.
The nagger.
Yeah, the nagger. You could have that.
In the backseat. You missed your turn.
You should have turned it back there again, Nimrod.
Your GPS does that now.
But it's nice.
Recalculating.
Yeah. But it's nice when it tells you this. You need to have voice packs in there that you can have a little fun with. Yeah. All right. So anyway, other things are going to be happening in the future. They're talking that we're going to get anywhere faster. Because your vehicle, you're talking about cars a little bit ago, your vehicle is going to be on the internet too. And so is everything else. So if there's an accident 10 miles in front of you, your car will know this. Yeah. And it'll give you reroute around the accident.
Aren't they talking about that plastic highway?
It's a glass highway, yes.
Highway.
Yeah, and it actually has LEDs built right into it. I'm not sure if that's ever going to go anywhere. Because you're talking a huge infrastructure change, but it's possible. They got solar panels built into this thing too.
They're talking about parking lots.
Yeah, and that would be a good place to start using it. Yeah. But yeah, there's that potential. They're talking about things are going to get cheaper to manufacture
with the 3D printers.
Right, but we're talking about just things in general. We'll get because your machines will have things that will talk to you. So if they're overheating, if they have a problem with supply, there's some waste going on, whatever, you will be able to communicate with these machines.
Well, you know why it'll be faster? Because the machines don't have to stop to answer the phone.
That's right. They'll just have to stop to answer you, but they can do 2 things at one time. Exactly. So yeah. So there is that's going to be going on. They're saying that we'll be able to save time and get more of our day. Because your smartphone will be like a remote control for your life. So, for example, you're going into your favorite coffee shop. You get out of your car. You can have your phone programmed to tell the coffee shop as you're getting out of your car, hey, I'm a block away now. You can start my coffee for the morning. And you walk in there, and they will have it ready for you, and you'll leave, and it's already been paid for as well.
Yeah, they're talking about your smartphone becoming your wallet.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I see more and more of that coming down the Pikeway. Also, you're going to see when you're traveling, when you're walking, wherever, there'll be sensor beds all over the place. So you come up to a crosswalk, and it knows because your phone is there that you're now at the crosswalk, so you don't have to push anything. And it also will be able to sense if there's traffic coming, so it'll change the traffic light for you. And the same is true when you're driving in your car. We've all been there before. You're sitting there at the left turn signal for like 2.5 minutes, and there has been nobody coming from the other direction. And you're like, right. And you get to the point after a while as like, do I make a left turn because there's been nobody here for 2 or 3 minutes and the light is not changing? You kind of get to that point. This will actually, because of these things, they'll actually know this and you'll change. And there's some of that stuff that goes on now a little bit too. So, let's see, what other good things do I have on my list here? V2V, have we talked about this before? Vehicle to vehicle. So we're talking about cars again here, but this will be, and this actually will start to come out in the 2015 vehicles. And what that is cars will talk to other cars. So that's what the V2V stands for, vehicle to vehicle. So as you're driving up to another vehicle and that vehicle in front of you slams on its brakes, if you don't slam on your brakes quick enough, it'll do it for you. You know, if there's a deer half a mile in front of you, your car will know this and it will make adjustments for you. You know, and it's because of these sensors and everything else that's in your car, and the fact that and it knows. So if you're in an interstate and the car behind you is in your blind spot, or you start moving over because a car's in your blind spot, it'll stop you from doing that because your car knows that this other car is sitting there, or this other motorcycle, what have you. So a lot of cool stuff that's coming down the pikeway, and this is all part of the Internet of Things. The other thing is that you'll probably know where everything is at all the time.
No way.
Everything.
No way. I spent half my life looking for stuff. 15 minutes ago.
Imagine the ability to geotag anything you wanted to.
I got a lot of stuff.
Like car keys.
That would be the number one thing, I think, right there.
No, I don't have trouble with car keys. I have trouble with tools and parts, working in the shop and sit down in one room, walk away. The coffee cup.
I don't know how you lose those, Jim. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I got this big ribbon thing I have attached to them that I can wear it around my neck. I got it from the University of Mary.
There you go.
I started grad school.
So very nice. Yeah, but you'd be able to actually geotag everything, and your phone will keep track of all of this stuff. You know, the biggest thing is if you lose your phone. You know, that to me, your phone's keeping track of everything.
That's something to think about, because if I lost my cell phone and got arrested, I don't know who to call. I don't know no numbers.
Yeah, nobody.
I don't have my phone.
I don't know if you were like me, but I used to remember everybody's phone number.
Sure.
I mean, anybody that I bet I had 30 phone numbers in my head at any given time.
Me a buddy, I'd rattle it off. Now I open up my phone and look.
There it is.
I can't even call work because I don't even know what the phone number is there, or my house, because I just, you're right. You just, and if somebody calls me, like if you call me, I mean, I used to know your phone number, but now it just says Nick Ressler on my phone, so I don't even see the number anymore.
Took me a year to remember my wife's phone number when we first got cell phone. I'm serious.
I believe you. I believe you. We just don't use our minds for these types of things anymore.
Somebody asked me the other day what my cell phone number. I had to look it up because I don't call myself.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, you're going to start. I mean, the Internet of Things are going to be. I'm actually interested in the geotagging thing because I actually think that will be a very, very big deal in the future. I'm like you. I lose stuff all the time. I mean, and the thing is that I think I own 4 Dremel tools because I'll go out and I can't find my other one, so then I go buy another one because I need it, and then then of course then I find it.
Oh, yeah.
Boy,
afterwards.
does that sound familiar.
So this ends up in the
I have an
garage
extra
sale or
lawn
whatever.
bag for a lawnmower that belongs to my son that I claimed I couldn't find that I found the other night. I hope he ain't listening.
But you can geotag all of this stuff.
That would be very cool.
Yeah. And of course, if you lose your phone, there are safeguards in place now too that you can either find your phone or you can lock it down. So people, and that's probably the biggest thing to me, is the security part of all of this. I mean, if somebody were to get my phone and it's controlling my life, now that person has control of my life, and that's not a good thing either.
No.
So
they'd be talking to your refrigerator.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm getting a little warm over here.
I tell you,
melt the ice cream.
I worked there last week. I was in rough shape,
Well, gentlemen, it's been a great show, and I have no clue what we're talking about next week now. So, but I'm sure we'll have another great time. So until next week, everybody have a great rest of the week.